This session is brought to you by Zurich Life and Investments. These guys are one of the last true independent life insurers going around, and they're Swiss, so you know their stuff is solid. These guys really understand and believe in the value of advice, which is why they invest in programs like this one and partner with groups like XY Advisor to help drive the positive evolution of financial advice in Australia. Their team are just really good people as well. So if you haven't already connected with them, to learn more, check out their website or speak to your business development contact. This session is also brought to you by Sunsuper. They're one of the fastest growing profit for members or industry funds in Australia. They were the very first of these funds to partner with advisors, and they've got functionality where you can actually link to your client's Sunsuper accounts and charge advice fees through the fund, as well as a number of tech innovations to make it easier for you to work with your clients. They've got great investments. They're really, really cheap. And their team are just generally legends. So if you haven't already connected with Sunsuper, give them a shout because they're doing some really cool stuff.
G'day, Chris Bates. What's happening?
G'day.
Canopy. Not called that anymore, are you?
No, I've gone for a easier to pronounce name, not Wealthful.
Canopy? What's hard about that? I can't believe you gave up that name, man. It was so good. It was like the support, the canopy. It was like, oh man, I wish I had a name like that.
I mean, the new name must be phenomenal. Then it must really resonate if Canopy isn't the first choice.
It was Canopy Private, by the way. It wasn't just Canopy.
Sorry.
Oh, right.
Sorry,
Yeah. Private Canopy, that's even better.
Yeah.
It's a funny thing, isn't it? When you're starting up a super fund, you actually want to look as like old money as possible, and then you start doing business, so you're like, you start backpedaling. Oh shit! What have I done?
Yeah, about a year in, I was like, oh, how do I drop this private bit? And then, canopy.com. Oh, sorry. Canopy.com.au was taken. I was like, oh, so I can't get rid of it.
Yeah, I did the same thing. I was like, I just dropped the wealth and keep Pivot. My guy told me to do Pivot, and I was like, man, you're insane. You're crazy. You're crazy, man. And now I'm like, fuck, I wish I just called it Pivot. But I looked up the domain, and it's owned by Incitec Pivot, the like multi-billion-dollar fertilizer company. So,
Man, just offer him a couple of bucks.
I've got it on back order on Crazy Domains, $10 a year.
Nice.
So you know, maybe they'll let it slip.
Apparently Google.com slipped. Did you guys hear about this?
Oh, right.
Oh man,
And
you
this-
could get
Sell
some
it
good
back to
money.
Google for $1 billion.
This guy bought it. He used to work at Google and was this major nerd. And he found out that Google.com was available, bought it, and then like knew who to contact within Google. He's like, I just bought this for you. You might want to, And I think they gave him like $1,000.
What? Oh man, I'd be holding that for ransom.
I did actually buy digitaladvice.com.au. And then I went, oh, and then I realised it got expired. And then I was like, told someone I owned it. And then I looked and went, actually, no, I've actually let it lapse. And then I quickly got in.
Yes, domains. I know a few people who have made a couple of bucks off that kind of thing, but I think it's a lot sort of harder than it seems.
I've just got heaps. I don't really use them. I don't know. Yeah.
Well, especially now that there's dot and like, there's about 50 to 100
yeah.
different
Yeah.
things that you
It's
can.
a lot of things.
Yeah. So is it really worth it? But anyway, I digress. Mate, how's business?
Very good. Yes.
Cool.
Yeah. No, it's I've kind of got a pretty kind of refined offering now, and I'm kind of got my groove, and yeah, the LinkedIn stuff's going really well, and yeah, it's kind of all coming at me now, which is good. So that's that was the I guess the dream I was trying to get to, and then it's kind of coming at me now. So I'm not just posting twice a day, and they come, which is good.
My God, what kind of engagement are you getting these days?
Like 20,000 a post.
What?
Yeah.
20,000 people see your posts.
Yeah.
That's so awesome.
It's amazing.
Yeah. So I post twice a day, and generally it's 15, 20, sometimes 30, sometimes more. Yeah.
That's so awesome.
Yeah.
What are you posting?
It's all on there. That's the good thing about it. It's
It's not hidden.
yeah. It's all out there. I mean, it varies. I mean, today's a lot of it's around property. I mean, I guess because I'm trying to be the person that people can go to for that. I guess it's I do one on property that's something people haven't thought about before, and then one maybe on life, just something that's. I think there's the part of where someone wants to know you and like you and want to seek your services out. That's what I'm trying to create. So you got to get personal. You got to share things about yourself and open yourself up a bit. And so by doing that, people will either not like it, which is cool, but the people who do like it really like it. And then they're going to go, well, actually, I trust this guy. I wouldn't mind speaking to him. And
It's not rocket science, hey. It's just no one does it.
yeah,
You did it. And I remember when you said you were going to do it, a couple of years ago, you go, I'm going to build, I think, my own brand, like use my name. And I remember thinking, well, that's ballsy. Like you're going to actually do this thing that everyone talks about. And then fast forward a couple of years and here you are, I get 30,000 people looking at my posts. That seems insane.
yeah. I mean, it's 30,000 within the LinkedIn community. I have no other presence on any other platform.
I don't think you need it. Do you need it? My God.
30,000's enough, I think. What do you reckon about these people that get up people for posting personal stuff on LinkedIn?
So weird, man.
They talk about it like
So weird.
Just block me if you
Yeah.
don't want to read it. I mean, that's my view on it is if you don't like what I'm writing, then just block me. And if you find it interesting, then keep reading, I guess.
Yeah.
Or, lose the connection. That's fine.
Yeah.
I mean, everyone's got the choice of not following someone, so it's
Totally. You're not forcing it down anyone's throat.
yeah,
My
that's
God.
not personal. It's not it's just something I'm sharing about me. It's if you find that offensive, then it says more about the
Can
person.
be offensive from time to time. It depends on which Chris Bates we're seeing, I suppose. So what do you did you? Well, obviously you did stuff to get that happening, but what did you have like a structured sort of strategy at the start, or like how did you approach it?
So I started posting 2015, the start, and I would do long form. And at that point, I was only 6 months into the business, and I was thinking, I guess I still had a few gripes with the industry and what I'd seen, and I kind of started off with a bit of a negative tone, and I think that was me just getting my thoughts out there, really. And once it was out, then it was out, And then so I realized after about 6 months and thought, well, I've got rid of that now. And, now I actually just start posting about stuff I like and what I enjoy.
Yeah.
And
that's cool.
so I just completely shifted. And, now it's just about, it could be anything. It could be animals or getting engaged or,
Africa.
Inequality or Africa or whatever it might be. Well-being, whatever it might be. Whatever's going through my brain, I'm actually, interested in, or that's what I post about.
You sort of, if I was to interpret what it is that you do, some people blog, and you kind of treat LinkedIn status updates like a miniature blog almost.
Yeah, I realised that the long-term blogs, I actually think I spoke to you on a Sunday once and came around and I just spent 3 hours writing a blog. And I'm like, I get 200 views for that. And no one really clicks it. And I've just spent all this time. Like, this isn't really right.
Yep.
And then I just started writing lots of short form. And so I hit the word count limit, and then I kind of have to digest that a little bit and refine it. But after you've done it, hundreds of times, you've kind of got a bit of a structure there, and you can easily just realize, there's better ways to word things. But there is a bit of an art to it because, really it's kind of, if someone can't read it properly or it's not articulated very well or it hasn't actually got a solid point, then people aren't going to like it, or they're not going to comment, or they're not going to share, or they're not going to read your next one. So you can't just post anything. It's just that it's just got to be quite short and snappy. People don't really read that much anyway, right? Like, so you're just flicking, read a little bit, flick. Yep. So you just want to kind of catch their attention, and
you've normally got a picture as well, right?
The picture's very important.
Yeah. I follow that.
And so you're getting a lot of shares on your stuff. Do you is there stuff that you're consciously doing to promote that, or
Nothing at all. No. So I just post it, and then I never reach out to anyone. I never, even when I get asked for a friend request, I don't even say anything. I just, we've connected. I don't need to give you this little line,
Spiel.
Yeah.
And then you just follow me now. And then at some point in the future, if you like me and you need some help, hopefully you've seen me enough and you've read enough of what I think, and you think, actually, that's someone I wouldn't mind.
Yeah, you've nailed it, man, because developing a relationship with people at scale is the whole point of the internet, and the whole point, from a business point of view, and the whole point of social media is scalability. That 2-inch wide, 2 miles deep, you know who you want to work with, and you just put your authentic self out. And everyone talks about it, and then all these people that talk about it have like 50 followers on Twitter, right? And then you just actually stuck to it. It's awesome. It's awesome to see, man. So congrats,
Thank you
first
very
of all,
much.
to your self-discipline and dedication to making it happen. So, man, I'll
And
take my hat off to
congrats
you.
to the amazing hair as well.
Yeah, thanks. Shave the beard off. Would have given you a run.
Hey, you still got a bit.
Yeah, I've gone short.
Bit of love. And so you were in Africa recently?
Yeah, that was amazing. Yeah, it's a cool trip.
Where'd you go?
Kenya, Uganda, just those 2 countries, just for about over 3.5 weeks. Yeah, it was amazing. It was massive animal lovers. Basically, just spent the whole time admiring animals.
Wow, man. That's pretty
Nice.
cool,
Did you
but
see a zebra?
So I lots and lots of zebras. Yeah,
to see a
Awesome.
dead zebra getting
yeah.
eaten.
It's funny though. Every time everyone sees the zebra the first time, they're like, "Oh, stop the bus, stop the bus!" Yeah, and they get their camera out, and oh, it's so beautiful, and
Yeah.
they're waiting for the perfect shot, and then they go around the next corner, and then there's another 1,000 zebras.
Totally. Was that sort of a was that the first time you've been to Africa?
I've been to a bit of North Africa before, like Morocco and Egypt, and
Is that when you used to live in London?
one was, once in London, once when I was here.
Cool, man.
Yeah.
Do you have an affinity with Africa, or?
I do. I actually thought I had one like years and years and years before I actually went. And I was very close when I was living in the UK to when I was coming back. I was at this bit of a crossroads. I was like, do I go back to Australia or do I go to Africa and be a tour guide? Maybe for a few years. And I was like, had it all sussed out, had all the prices and spoke to all the different places and kind of sussed out all the flights and how it would all work. And I didn't push the button on it, to be honest. And so I moved back to Australia. So since then, I've kind of been, it's kind of been grilling on me a little bit. But I mean, that's kind of my first trip there, and it won't be the last.
So tell us about this story where you nearly ended up in prison.
Right. Yeah, so we did lots of animal things over there, and
Like poaching?
One of these things we did over there was on a private game reserve.
Right.
And so basically you're walking in the wild. So you're walking in the wild.
No car.
No car.
What?
And there's everything there. No lions, but there's leopards, there's
Whoa.
everything's there.
Do leopards not eat people?
No, but like leopards are very scared.
Okay.
They're very like,
Good.
they sit in a tree all day, they sleep, and then they attack at night.
Okay.
And so like you should be very unlikely to get killed by a leopard.
Right.
More likely to get hit by a...
But in case you did, you got worldwide income protection.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. I did actually check on travel insurance. I was like, am I allowed to do
Like
safaris?
eaten by a
Leopards.
leopard in the middle of the night.
Leopards.
And I mean, I guess that was like a 4-hour walking. So we walked right around. We saw lots of different animals. It was amazing. And then came along this kind of warthog and warthogs are, Pumbaa. They're actually like, you think that there's actually lots of them out there. They're like they're quite funny. But I came across a carcass of one of those. And because it's on a private game reserve, it's not like in a national park. It's a private thing. And I looked at one of the tusks and I was like, oh, this is amazing. Like, this just could feel the strength in this tusk. So I said to the guide, I was like, mate, do you mind if I take this? He goes, yeah, no, that's fine. Like, you can take it. It's, it's our property. And I was like, cool, this is amazing. It's a proper
Tusk.
tusk.
You were going to make it into one of those necklaces and just with like the rough, like the twine or something. So I could see you rocking that.
Straight in the caveman meeting. Yeah. And do you want some income protection? And and so I was really fascinated by it. My girlfriend.
Well, how big is it?
Probably about 30 centimeters.
Yeah,
but it's
right.
thick and it's strong, and you
Wow.
can see why it would cause some damage, right? And so I was like fascinated. I was like, yep, cool. Gonna take this home. My girlfriend, now fiance, was like, no. I don't want you to take that. And I was like, no, I'm taking it. So I was in the suitcase, and we were flying back so we went right to the coast. I mean, a place called Mombasa. and we're going through airport security, and then got through the security, and then the lady's like, can you please come here? You've got animal products in your bag.
What?
And I'm like, yeah. And she goes, that's illegal. And I'm like, no.
But it's just a warthog. It's not a rhino.
And I said, it's a warthog. And she's like, yeah, it doesn't matter. It's an animal and it's completely forbidden. And, you can go to jail for that.
Wow.
And I'm like,
Oh, shit.
and like I've just gone white. And my partner, she's just like freaking out, like tensing up. And I'm like, I've got money. And she's like, how much money you got?
Oh, shit. Yes.
And she goes, can you give me, it was 5,000 Kenyan. And which is like 50 US.
Yeah.
And I said, I've got 1,500. I said, that's all I got. And she's like, nah, it needs to be more than that. And the thing is, I only had 1,500.
Fuck.
So it's not like I was lying. And I was like, I'm not lying. I'd give you 5,000, but I've only got 1,500.
Yeah.
And she's like, okay. And so I kind of just dropped
Deal.
the cash on the table. And what saved me was actually a big group of tourists kind of followed in. And because I had my bag out and it was like, she was like, oh, this is getting a bit too tight now. And
Yeah.
I can cash in. I'll take my 1,500.
My
Wow.
goodness.
Yeah,
well.
so,
Smart of you to suggest paying.
well, that's what you got to do. That wasn't the first time I had to
Really?
bribe. Yeah, no, you have to kind of always have a
See,
separate,
I
separate
did-
wallet or something when you travel these countries.
I didn't
Just in
realize,
case.
like in South America, my passport was confiscated, because we were trying to get into Paraguay. In their defense, illegally. So we didn't have a visa, but we're like, nah, should be right.
Yeah.
And then I didn't realize that you just pay them, and so because I didn't realize, it became this massive thing. Should have just paid them.
Yeah, just
Had no
follow
idea.
the system.
Yeah.
The wink and the nod and the, yeah.
Oh, well, you got through, mate.
Yeah.
And so you sort of, you mentioned something. I don't know if you just glossed over something there, but was the knee bent while you were in?
Yes.
Oh, shit.
Yes, I got
That's exciting.
got
mate.
engaged. Thank you very much.
Congratulations.
Cheers.
Definitely.
Exciting times. Blood
Yeah.
diamond or?
Brutal.
No, it was. I did knock her out almost on the way back up, but that's another story.
Oh my god.
Right.
Yeah.
Well,
So I was just getting up off one knee, and then she was bending down at the same time and clashed her chin into her face, and
Ooh.
yeah,
Welcome to engaged
she
life,
got
my love.
dizzy and she sat down, and
Hilarious.
so.
Well, we've all then got engaged in the last 6 months.
Oh, did you too?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
very
yeah,
good.
yeah. And
Oh,
Ben,
yeah,
and
congrats, yes.
thank you, man. So it's
Love
gee,
fest.
Look at
Love
us,
fest up in here.
all growing up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's right.
When's the big day? You made the plans or?
We're going to do it this year, but yeah, we want to do it. There's no venues down there, and B, it's just all too tight.
Yeah.
So, next year.
Okay,
Exciting
you?
times.
mate. August, flying to Finland.
Okay.
Yeah,
Nice.
yeah. And Benny's bloody getting it done real quick. My
Efficiency.
theory is shotgun wedding.
No, well, you'll see. Oh, you probably wouldn't be able to tell with Yang because she's so tiny anyway. But no shotgun.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what's the plans for this year, Batesy?
I mean, mainly it's just kind of. I mean, I've got to a point now where the process is getting a 30-minute phone call at the start when we work. I guess.
Do you charge for it?
No, I don't. But I guess I get it, and I kind of dequalify them now before they get a chance to speak, and so I kind of qualify them if they kind of qualify themselves, I guess.
Right.
And so, and yeah, I mean, they're coming to me, so it's just really, I guess, managing that. That's really my challenge at the moment, really, is just.
So your
workload.
process is they see you on LinkedIn for a long enough period of time, they'll just shoot you an email
And get them straight on a call.
and just say, let's just chat.
Let's chat at 3:00 today if you can.
Cool.
And then get on the call and then just literally basically say, look, I only work with younger families. And I've got 2 services I offer them, and then and then I basically kind of picture what the ideal client is before I know anything about them.
Yeah, right.
And then they either kind of say, well, that's not me, or it is me, but most of the time it is. So
right, because of your LinkedIn work.
yeah, because they've kind of already done enough pre-vetting themselves to think actually Chris is the one I actually want to
Yeah.
work with. So, yeah, I mean, that's mainly it. I've got to try to figure out how to I guess, move the business to a point where it's not so much me. I don't really want to, I guess. It's kind of at that kind of dilemma of, workloads in, but then how do I get closer to where I want to go, or is hiring and growing a business taking me away from that? So I'm a bit of a crossroads there, but yeah.
Yeah, staff, tricky.
And are you doing mainly mortgages or?
Mainly a lot of it's around the property space, yeah. So it's kind of helping people to navigate the world of property. So a lot of it's life planning, so structuring around where they want to go with their life, which is, helping them with those big decisions. And once we figure that out, we can start saying, well, if we want to get there, then you're going to need a home, or maybe it's wise to invest. And this is kind of what you could do with property. And it's kind of, a lot of it goes down that route.
And you still use a lot of like buyer's agents?
Oh, yeah, all buyer's agents, yeah.
Cool.
Or they do it themselves, which is cool, but, I've got such a kind of process there that they at least speak to a buyer's agent. And when they do speak to a buyer's agent, it's their opportunity to kind of demonstrate value, and they decide to use a buyer's agent. Yeah. But it's not one buyer's agent. Like I've got 5 or so in Sydney that refer to me. I've got, many in different cities. So it's kind of like I refer them to 3 and then say, look, find one that really you match with and you click with and you actually feel like you can really talk to, because it's quite an emotional journey. You're spending a lot of money, you're putting all your savings into something, and you've got to be able to really talk to the person, I guess.
That's awesome, man. Even if the only thing you did was, help people see the reality of the, you could even use the word, the severity of the decision that they're making, is such a powerful and valuable one. Most people just go, what's the max I can borrow? Do a couple of open houses over a little bit of, and then end up at an auction perhaps, and then spend more than they can. And it's this entirely emotional process with no guidance. And if someone's throwing around hundreds of thousands of dollars in this emotional, unplanned way, and then you can come along and be like, well, instead of doing that, pay me a couple of bucks. We'll make sure you get a better result, better planned. I mean, I'm just glad your service exists. Yeah.
It's funny because there was a new client yesterday, and she's like a head of content at a media company.
Right.
And so she's been watching me on LinkedIn, and then she's like, okay, cool, this guy's kind of good on content. Meet up with him.
Yeah.
And she's like, I said, it's funny meeting up with you because I'm actually really scared now. But I feel like I'm scared for the right reason. I'm scared because I know that this is actually extremely risky now. And I've seen all the things that I was thinking about doing before was actually not the right decision. And I'm so glad I didn't do that. And now I know that when I do it, I'm kind of like excited but scared. And so she was that your approach? And I said, well, yeah, it is actually, because
at least you're taking it
you
seriously.
actually need to. This is actually not just get any property. You can butcher this very quickly, and and you regret your decision.
Absolutely, because the whole, like, from top to bottom, I remember I was explaining to Vera not long ago of how and why people get into bad financial situations. I said it's because so many people on that chain are remunerated for you to make those bad decisions. Which then leads me to this question: do you get any industry hate from property-esque people?
Yes, and that's okay. Like, to be honest, I think a lot of people are doing that because that's how they're getting paid and they're putting food on their table.
Is the vitriol, can I just interject with another question, is the vitriol of the property market worse or better than the vitriol of the financial advisor market? Because I feel like you're uniquely positioned to have experienced
that
both.
question.
Yeah, I mean, the financial advisor is the same. It's kind of fighting against your own people, isn't it? So that's
infighting. It's fun.
Well, that's okay. You don't need to be friends with them. No, I mean, the property are a rare breed, and there's so many different levels through the whole world of property where people are getting paid and they are recommending stuff that they shouldn't be recommending. And it's completely unregulated. That's why. So there's no one telling anyone not allowed to do anything at all. And Yeah, and so unfortunately, they get their view on it and they believe what they believe, and they find it very hard to hear someone who potentially puts their whole business model at risk. And
Yeah.
so, yeah,
Do you
I
reckon
mean,
they actually believe it though? Because
Everyone has to, man. Every single person, no matter what they do in life, absolutely qualifies themselves as being legit. It's so hard not to. It doesn't matter what you do in life, right? You could be the worst guy in the world, but you'll figure out a way to say, no, that totally makes sense.
Yeah. I find, especially in the property space, and there are fantastic buyers agents out there. I'm sure the guys
Correct.
that you work with are awesome, but there's just so many shonks and so much money as well. Like, that's the main reason I left the last company I was at, because they were, following this strategy that I was completely not aligned with and pulling in up to $40,000 commission selling, 400 grand properties in pockets of, the country that didn't seem like that they had much, potential for long-term growth, and there's nothing, people don't know until the end, and then they've basically already committed at that point,
well, yeah, you've got sunk cost bias, you've got, there's so many behavioural biases involved with getting it wrong, I guess. And I mean, you don't really want to, loss aversion, anchoring, there's all these
Totally.
things where, if you've bought something, you don't want to tell yourself even a year or even after you've signed the contract that was a stupid decision, because that's not nice.
Yeah,
and so
most people won't.
you basically then just go for confirmation bias, which is you just read stuff and you get people to validate what you're doing and to tell you what you're doing is the right thing.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's pretty scary.
You should be the barefoot investor of property.
Yeah.
And
Well,
we were just talking about that
I
earlier.
went for lunch with Scott last month. That was interesting.
Did you? That's
Yes.
cool, man.
He's a good guy.
Yeah? I've never spoken to him.
Yeah.
But because me and Ben were talking about this earlier, there's got to be a scalable way to do what you're doing. There has to be a low cost, scalable, digital. For the people that don't want your full service, and the people that don't want to do nothing. There's a massive market there, and I can't wait for someone to come along and provide this.
Yeah, we're doing one of these
education.
things actually. So,
podcast.
with a buyer's agent, which is cool.
Awesome.
So that would be interesting.
Well, that will work. Yeah.
Yeah, because you kind of got to.
Well, what's the podcast called?
It's two different names. Property Minds is one.
Yep.
People and Property is the other. And because we don't want to be the typical, Hobart has gone up 12% last year, and you should invest in Hobart, or there's an oversupply of units in Brisbane. Like, this is just all boring stuff. We want to talk about the psychology and the behaviours behind the property market.
Totally.
And
man.
why are you even doing this, and why do you even care about doing it? And how's FOMO affecting the market right now, and how's the society pressure and all these sort of things, and how is this really affecting the market, and how can you use these trends and these behavioural and demographics to make sure you're not getting affected by it, I guess.
Yep.
Even everything from bidding at an auction and understanding, well, what's at play and how do you bid, and so that's kind of interesting.
Mate,
cool. When's it coming out?
We started it, so we're looking at some different companies to kind of do all the managing stuff.
Okay.
A good mate of mine earns, he's in the top tax bracket, so we'll put it that way, and he hasn't paid rent or any housing costs for 4 years. He lives in Western Australia and he loves to travel. So his style of work is 2 weeks on, 2 weeks off, and he works on this gas thing. And when he's not working, he lives in his troopy, right? So he'll just surf and travel up the coast of Western Australia. Him and his fiance, who also does similar style of work.
Oh, right.
And they save 80% of their money. And the reason that they've done that is it's definitely a counterculture to the ridiculousness of the property, the current property situation, that it's now 7 times in Sydney, or 7 point something times average family household income. Insanity, right? And so now you've got this opposite where he makes bank, but he still doesn't want to spend a dime on it because he's so so just, he thinks the whole thing's bullshit.
Yeah, you can definitely do that, I guess. It's and I think there will be a trend. I think online and being able to work from anywhere, anytime. I mean, 5G internet will be another kind of enabler of doing stuff like that. I mean, people become the social pressure to actually sit in front of someone. You just want to see someone who's actually quality. You don't really care if they're sitting across the other side of the world, as long as they're giving you good advice. That you don't really care if they're in front of you. Actually know how hard it is to find someone who's going to give you good advice. So if they're not there in front of you, you're still happy to get the advice. So I think, and that's not just in financial advice, that's every industry. So why don't you live in wherever you want and still do it?
Totally,
So
man.
I think...
do you have international clients to that end?
I do, actually. I've got quite a few different,
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And so what
But they're Aussies kind of living overseas, right?
Understood.
So like Aussies in San Fran, Dubai, Hong Kong.
But theoretically, if someone
Singapore,
an American who lived
London.
in San Fran, if they came to you,
American living in San Fran.
yeah,
It's going to an Aussie advisor.
yeah.
Well,
why not?
Well, I mean, a lot of the way their tax laws and their investing.
Oh, okay, so you go into that sort of tax piece, do you?
Yeah, I mean, well,
Okay.
just generally, yeah.
Okay.
I got a client the other day I've got this client in Singapore who's an Aussie expat living there, and she referred me to one of her mates who's a Kiwi living in Singapore, and we just started working together. But yeah, not Aussie. I don't think you need, but obviously an understanding of the tax system works, but you can't do the actual technical planning, for foreign jurisdiction tax stuff. But you can still do a lot of that, the coaching and the planning and the goal setting and the accountability. And like I've been working with a couple of guys offshore for like years or almost a couple of years, and it holds just the same. I think that there's so much in the accountability and the focus that you give to your clients when you're doing that overall sort of planning piece that I'd argue that it's probably even more than the technical side. Like that element of the support that you give your clients is more than the technical.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I think I'm probably going the other direction. I'm kind of like, this is exactly the type of client I want to work with, and this is exactly what they're doing, and this is exactly how much money they're earning, and just trying to get 100 or 300 or 500 clients exactly the same as that.
Yeah.
So I guess I'm trying to, if that kind of opportunity came up, it probably wouldn't, excite me. You know what I mean? So I guess that's kind of where I'm at with it.
Do you use Buffer or anything to post on LinkedIn, or is it all you do it?
No, wherever I am. So
Right.
yeah, wherever I am. So
Right. Okay. Cool. So it's all largely on the spot. You need to
Yeah.
diarize that.
I know that I got to do one in the morning, one in the afternoon.
Yeah, okay.
So if it's getting to like 11 and I haven't done it,
What times?
It doesn't matter. It probably does matter if you looked at the data,
Yep.
but I'm not gonna figure out post at 11:22 or
Yeah.
7:45. It probably is best to post at 5 and then I don't know 6:30 or 7 in the morning, and you get them on the way to work and
Yeah.
get someone to read on the way home. But I think LinkedIn algorithm doesn't even work like that anyway. I think it really just promotes content that you have liked in the past and content that you have stopped and read in the past. So, and then it says it promotes content that people generally like. And so, you're always going to get, if you haven't posted before and no one's liked your stuff, well, it's going to be very hard to get engagement because no one knows you and no one's read your stuff before. So LinkedIn kind of prioritizes people who are already writing stuff. So it is kind of inequality at its
Sure.
work.
It's like a momentum.
Yeah, I think I do actually, I spoke to a few people with LinkedIn. I do think it's a scoring system. And then it's like plus for every like or comment or...
I mean, the office is just there. You could go up and ask them.
Yeah, actually, got a few clients there as well, actually.
That's hilarious. Ben did really well out of LinkedIn in the early days, didn't you, mate?
Yeah, I was probably a little pushier than I should have, but it worked. It got results. Like I got a bunch of clients out of that at the start. I wouldn't do it the same way now, but I still connect with a bunch of people on LinkedIn, and we get a ton of our traffic. Like I watch the traffic sources from our website. A lot of traffic from LinkedIn. People see stuff and then they look at your profile and end up on your website and end up on your mailing list, and it's all just just commute. Like, that's just where, but you got to be where the people are, right?
It's an interesting. So your strategy is a little bit more old school in that get them onto your site, capture the email, then send them an email. Whereas yours is just bam in your face. There's no sort of layers of separation.
Yeah, I'm just rich. I mean, to be frank, it's just post and keep building a following, I guess. And then, I think it's how I turn that following into something in the future.
I think it's important.
But I guess it's going to wait till that opportunity, and I feel like the right thing comes up that I want to. I guess for me, it's just enough people coming to me on an ongoing basis now that's cool. I've got enough people coming, and now it's a case of if I want to up the game, then I want to do it in a way that's scalable, I guess. Because there's no point getting 15 new inquiries and then going, well, I can't fulfill this. So,
well, yeah, good problem to have.
Yeah.
The risk that's not unique to you at all, and a lot of people who built big Facebook pages can attest to this. And the best description I've heard this is people that build a good social following. And I mean, XY Advisor Group is in the exact same situation, is that you can create the most profitable McDonald's that's sitting on top of a volcano. And so at any point that can be taken away from you if you're reliant on that platform. So
that's happened twice.
Oh, wait, to you?
Yeah.
No way.
So I've been banned on LinkedIn twice.
Banned?
Well, not banned, but disengaged, turned off.
How does that happen?
So,
shadow banned or whatever.
Yeah, so basically you can get a restriction on your profile, and yeah, you can basically kind of So I mean, I did a blog post on Melbourne, and I hadn't done this before, and this is why I set off a limit. The Sydney one went quite viral, like it was over 1,000 likes, and so then I went through, and then all the people who liked it, I kind of connected with, and then I thought, well, if they've liked the Sydney one, I'll send them the Melbourne one. And it was all around developments. And then I hit like a message count limit.
Right.
And so then they blocked me. And then, so I had to go into LinkedIn, into their office in Martin Place. I'm like, I'm not leaving till I kind of get removed. It's like, and and then this guy came in, he goes, look, mate, this is what's happened. And he said, yeah, no worries, I'll get rid of it. It's fine.
And did you then pitch him your service and he became a client? Is that the client that you were talking about?
It's funny though, because I got his email address, and then I literally, like a year later, so that LinkedIn do this stupid thing where after you add connections, it sometimes says, do you want to connect to every single person you know?
Yeah.
So this is like 2,000 people, and I must have been I don't even remember doing it. And then all of a sudden it's like your LinkedIn's, you've hit connection request limit because you've just asked 2,000 people I don't even know.
Wait, I'd never noticed this. So when you connect with someone on LinkedIn, it can say, do you want to connect with everyone they know?
Everyone you know. And
No.
It's like databases of and it's just people you don't even know. So
it's like your email. It's like all your emails that is, I don't know where it gets them from. Maybe it's like Gmail or something, but there's like a big list of like, do you want to connect with all of your contacts, or do you want to invite them all? Or something.
Yeah, and it's like 2,000 people usually, or I don't know how many it is.
Yeah, it'd be a lot if it was all the people you've emailed.
Yeah, all the even people you haven't emailed before, or like off lists, and I don't know how I got it. But anyway, 2,500 connection requests went out, and then it's like obviously you're spamming LinkedIn, so it's like block me, and
from their own.
It's from their own little button, and I'm like, look, this is stupid. I didn't obviously mean to push this button, and now you've blocked me because of your silly kind of system.
You had to go back to the office.
So I emailed the guy that actually got me off last time. I was like, mate, I had another issue, and we got off it the second time as well, which was cool. But but that's when that is kind of gut wrenching, right? Because it's that that's the volcano going off, and you're like, well, if that is my one source. And you do turn that off, like you do need to diversify. But, I'm just hoping the volcano doesn't blow up, I guess.
Great risk mitigation strategy there. Nah.
That happened to me with my email list that I had I don't know what, it was something with my website that I didn't have like you click the box to say that you're a human person, because there's all these forms. There's all these forms on my website to like download some things, and I could see that my list was growing. And at the start I thought, oh, this is amazing. And then I looked into it more, and I noticed that it's just like downloading every single thing off my website all at once, and like nobody does that. As much as I'd like to think that they do when I create all of this awesome in my mind content.
I did.
Well, yeah, but that's different. That's just like, IP theft. That's a different thing. But yeah, and then I noticed, so I started like penning these people into a list and then deleting them out every few days and stuff. But then I found out that I don't know, I still don't really understand it, but it was like some of the email addresses were real, but it wasn't that person that was adding their email. So it must have been like a spam bot, or like they have these farms apparently where they do things, and they blocked my thing because there was too many people were saying that the emails were spam.
Oh no!
Like unsubscribing and reporting spam, and it's like I've never, even when I was doing my salesy stuff on LinkedIn, I never took anyone's email from LinkedIn without their permission. And I freaked when I did it because I got all these like automations in my email thing, and there's like different things for our workshops and our content, and there's pipelines and funnels and shit, and I was freaking. I was like almost abused. I'm pretty sure it was a chatbot, so it probably didn't make much of a difference. But from the active campaign people,
the complex.
What's going on? This is my business.
It's not me.
Yeah. Anyway, result.
What a weird thing that they're using, spamming other people. I just don't get it.
Yeah. No idea. So they said something about because we take payments online through the website, so it might have been they're trying to exploit the thing somehow, or something about the internet. I'm not really sure. Something.
Yeah, no idea.
Spam.
So, what I got to ask, what's going on? How come you caught up with Scott?
Scott?
Yeah, he sold 500,000 books.
500,000 books. $30 a pop. Doing the numbers.
Yeah, he's done well.
That's a lot of books.
Yeah.
So he sold that amount of books before. You could probably sell that amount of books again.
Yeah.
So I think he's doing another book, and yeah.
He's
he's doing I think he's probably put it out there as well as helping kids and parents with kids, which will be pretty cool.
Very cool.
It's he's definitely, his heart's in the right place. I guess it's obviously a lot of people probably don't think it is, but his stuff's good. People talk about it. He's doing more for, I guess, people getting into financial knowledge, I guess.
Yeah.
Making it cool, making it sexy, making it digestible and fun. And
definitely.
If people can talk about that and not be, embarrassed to read that on a train.
Yeah.
It's cool. People have it on their, went around my best mate's house in Newcastle on the weekend. He's just moved into a new place. He's a client of mine actually as well, and he's got it there sitting on his his bedside table.
Yeah, that's
and
awesome.
I was like, So he's a good guy. He's So
cool.
I guess why we catch up is he likes what I write, I like what he writes, and it's just a mutual kind of thing. And we caught up.
That's awesome. Next time you speak to him, tell him we'd love to have him on the podcast.
Scott, yeah,
for sure, definitely.
And he's got another kid on his way.
Oh, cool. So you've moved into the positive side of advice, right? And what appeals to you. Do you still get hate mail?
No. I do have to use the blocking feature on LinkedIn.
Do you?
And I'm not ashamed to use it, to be honest. I give people a few strikes, and and I think
like comments, people are getting on there commenting.
Yeah, and if the comments sometimes get personal, or sometimes they just they're obviously upset about something, and they're firing away at their computer, and they do it once, it's like, yep, cool. If they do it again, do it 3 times, it's like, no, I don't need this.
Really?
Yeah.
You let them go on?
Well, I'll give them a couple of strikes. Everyone can have a bad day, right? So
Tim Ferriss doesn't. I was listening to a podcast the other day, and one of his, and he said if someone gets on, like if I invite you into my house, you come in, you just stick your feet up on the bloody couch, right? Your dirty shoes. He goes, it's out. And he said, no strikes, gone straight away.
I think if they go personal or they're offensive, then I just like, well, there's no time for this. I mean, we're on a professional forum, and you're kind of, I think it's not looking good for them either. They shouldn't be doing it. It's like,
totally,
like you probably do more damage to yourself. And I mean, I guess it's once they're out of your life, then you never see them again. And so I do think it's a good feature for not just life, not just LinkedIn, but life.
Totally, man.
Blocked.
You said you had 2 services
in
your business. Can you talk about that?
I call the first one the property plan, which is the way I like to articulate it is helping people navigate the world of property, and to when they come to me and they're thinking about doing something related to property. So they're already coming in, they're saying, Chris, we're looking to buy a first home, and so, or I'm looking to upgrade or renovate or buy an investment property or whatever it might be. And we take a few steps back and we think, well, is this something that you should even do in the first place? So is this really, why are you doing it? Where do you want your life to go? So it moves into what I call life planning advice. It's not financial advice. It's figuring out where they want their life to go.
And that's inside your property plan.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. So this is the first step, is actually figuring whether they should do it or not.
Awesome.
And I mean, even like, say, for example, the client this morning, like, she's not ready, right? She's not ready to do it. And if she does do it, she needs to make sure that, she's actually, I mean, her future wife, I guess. So, and, I guess figuring out where they want to live. And, so it's kind of like, you shouldn't not just do it because you feel like you should do it. Let's figure out making sure what you do now is a stepping stone into where you want to go.
Totally.
And so that's the first thing. That's the property plan. Then we go through, okay, well, if you are going to do it, what's the right approach? So we look at all the different kind of options out there and the type of properties and the borrowing capacity and the lending, and then we figure out what type of asset might suit them. So it might be, okay, well, we've got a budget of 700. Maybe you could get something good in Brisbane, or maybe you could get a, top quality one better in, etc. And then
Blacktown.
Yeah, maybe. No, you're surprised actually. I just found one this morning in Edgecliff, 1 bed, bathroom, car parking, 100 meters from the station with a courtyard.
How much?
700 grand.
Yeah, nice.
Whoa.
Yeah, so there's these little kind of nuggets out there, right? And yeah, I mean, I guess it's talking them through that. Then we introduce them to buyer's agents, get them pre-approved, and then I just handhold them through that whole journey, make sure they don't really make a mistake anywhere with their property decision. And then there's something I call wealth coaching, where, that's not enough, right? We need more than that. We need to talk about more than the property. We need to talk about everything else that's going on. If they've just got a property and they've got some debt, really, what they should really be doing is just saving again, right? You need to go from cash to no cash. You need cash again. So your focus should be now saving for most people, right? So I don't need to be charging them for that. So I just give them a saving goal. But if it's wealth coaching, then we look at absolutely everything in their life, and we're starting to say, well, what are you doing in the super? What are you doing with diversifying you, etc. So that's kind of where that service fits in.
Right.
So with the property plan, do you go right into the numbers in terms of like financial modeling of different, properties?
No, I talk very high level and very, because it's all variables, right? And that's what the problem with modeling is. It's done on linear growth, and things don't work in straight lines. So modeling to me is a little bit pointless, really. It's a bit fictitious, really. I mean, I guess.
Yeah, I never got into it as an advisor. I never did one model once.
I did, and I probably did believe in it, but I kind of, the more I look at it, the more I realise it's what you're really wanting to do is just get people to move forward. And,
Yes.
And the whole purpose of modelling is to sell a gap. You need 3, you've got 2, you need to make up the other $1 million, and to do that, you need to save and invest. And I don't think that you need the model to do that. And modelling growth and different, assets, it's kind of, fundamentally, it's the property that goes up the most that matters, really, because that drives future yield. It does all this. So really, it's just about getting a quality asset, rather than.
But how do you help them though to make the right decision around the numbers? Like, how do they know that 700 is the right amount to spend?
So you've got to match the purchase price to the market. So if you're trying to buy, so for example, there's no point trying to buy a 1-bedder in Sydney at 600 because you're going to get absolutely nothing.
No. I mean, for the individual, how do you know that 700 is the right thing for them to spend? Not like, what do you buy with the 700?
So it's usually not a decision on what's the right amount for them to spend. It usually comes down to their capacity and their savings. So, if you've got not many people have got the ability to go spend $2 million, they're always going to cap out at some point.
Yeah.
And then it's about saying, well, if this is a home or it's a future investment, like, do you go for the one really top quality asset? Like, do you buy a house in Melbourne, 4 coast in the city, and spend $1 million? Or, do you spend 700, leave a bit more capacity for your next house? And so it's just kind of those trade-offs, I guess.
And how did they choose then, 700 or $1 million?
Well, it depends on their future, right? So I mean, if their future is going to be their serviceability is going to be capped, then spending $1 million and then might not allow them to go buy a home in 3 years' time.
Oh, yeah. I
So
see.
to de-risk themselves from that, they could go, well, let's not, even though we could buy something at $1 million, let's buy something at 700. Servicing, you've got to be playing the servicing game smartly now because it's reducing dramatically. So, and even this week, APRA has basically kind of talked about it, and it's
you can't use the tax deduction benefits, right, of negative gearing in the calculations.
Yeah, that's been about 6 months, and then they've come out again this week, and they're basically targeting investor loans even more. And it's so in the UK it's 4.5 times. Here you're getting 6, 7, 8, 9 times salary. In the UK it's 4.5. So it's like,
it's
crazy. You can see in what direction they're going to go.
Changed heaps as well. Like I noticed that even just like the last 12 months, like 12 months ago when I was helping people with their plans, it was like significantly easier for them to be able to afford, go buy a place, 800, 900, whack it on interest only, 4%, no problem.
Yeah.
Like still they had buffers and stuff caught in, but now it's like it's much more difficult to do that. And I suppose it's quite concerning with given the amount of people that have done that in the last 5 years with those periods expiring over the next 5.
Yeah, that's the biggest risk I think out there is the interest only cliff, which I've been saying for a while. Basically, they're not going to be able to refinance. And the lender is not allowed to roll over interest only anymore. They're like literally, I'm pretty sure they're not allowed to do it.
Got to reapply, right?
Yeah, and so it's before they just roll it over for another 5, but now they're not allowed to do it, and you've got a service, and so it's not going to happen for a lot of people. And then when your repayments jump from 4% on $1 million is 40 grand a year, but then now you've got to pay off $1 million loan over 25 years.
Yeah. It's a significant
increase. You're probably going to double your repayments. So, that's kind of going to be a big drag on the market. I think cash out's the biggest thing they're targeting now as well. Like before, you could just take out your equity, put it in the bank, offset, and then go again. As soon as you get more equity, just keep getting cash out. You can't get cash out anymore.
Can't you?
No, it's
Good.
pretty much just...
I can't believe they called it... It's the best PR ever, calling it equity.
Yeah.
Equity. No. You're getting a loan. You're going into debt.
Yeah.
That's not equity.
Yeah.
Oh, goodness gracious.
It's, I mean, and that's the thing. It's going to slow down the property market. Definitely. Credit growth is the number one thing is what drives the property market. If banks can't lend or banks are able to lend, people are going to borrow, So if you restrict credit growth, you're going to restrict property prices. So what's happening now is we are seeing credit growth, or the opportunity for people keeps on getting smaller and smaller and smaller. So that is going to lead to, a slowdown in the property market long term as well.
Do you think it will bubble? Do you think it'll burst?
I wouldn't buy any or hold any property that's in an area where investors buy. So it's not where homeowners buy. Mm-hmm. Because investors at the moment are on full throttle and they're kind of taking their foot off the gas now because they're like, I've got to pay $1 million for this really poor asset now. And interest rates have gone up for investors. So they're already slowing down. But for the last 5 years, they've been on, everyone who could invest has invested. And now in the future, they're not going to. And so any area where if the investor market has to get out of the market, which it kind of is, and then in these markets as well, there's usually supply issues. So it's kind of new units, it's kind of new townhouses. You've got an increase in supply and a huge drop in demand. It wouldn't be pretty. So you've got to be in areas where established housing, where families want to live, because that's the owner-occupied market. And that market, demand just for that every year gets bigger because as soon as you're 18, you go to the city, you get your university degree. At 25, 30 or 35, you get engaged. And then you want to have a house, right? And so you can't leave the city because that's where work is and your family are. And so the demand for housing just keeps growing. And people, that's the big difference.
Well, mate, thank you, first of all, from the financial planning point of view in that creating this service and creating a really individual and unique service offering. I think it's awesome. If you start when you start the podcast, when it's released, please let us know because I think that's going to be really valuable to financial planning community. And mate, thanks for coming on.
Thank you. Thanks, lads.
Cheers.
Chris.
Bye, guys.